All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, for the first time since 2015, it looks like the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to win the AFC West, while their 10-year streak of getting to the postseason is in jeopardy as well. The latest setback for the Chiefs came on Thanksgiving Day as they fell on the road to the Dallas Cowboys 31-28. And through 12 games this season, Kansas City is now 6-6, which is tied for their most losses in a season since Patrick Mahomes became their starting quarterback. However, when we saw the Chiefs lose 6 games during the regular season 2 years ago, they still won the AFC West, and that campaign would end with them hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy as Super Bowl champs. But that same outcome this time around appears to be a little far fetched at the moment. With little or no chance to win their division at this point in the season, the Chiefs are going to have to make the playoffs as a wild card team, which is not going to be easy here in the month of December. The Chiefs are now in 10th place in the AFC, if you want to get technical. They're tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But nonetheless, you look at the three teams that are currently in possession of wild card spots in the AFC. We got the Chargers, we've got the Colts, and we've got the Bills. Kansas City has lost to two of those three teams, and of course, they just beat the Colts a couple of weeks ago. But nonetheless, Kansas City's remaining schedule here in the month of December is not the easiest one. Okay, on one hand, they do have games remaining with the Vegas Raiders as well as the Tennessee Titans. Games they got to go out there and take care of their business in. On the flip side, they get the Broncos at home, they get the Chargers at home, and then of course, this Sunday night we're going to see the Chiefs play host to the surging Houston Texans. So you look at things and you ask yourself, okay, what's going on in Kansas City? Right now, the biggest thing with me with the Chiefs is their inability to win the close games. This is something that they really had a ton of success last year. Kansas City was 12-0 last year in games decided by a single touchdown or less, while this time around they're only 1-5. For me, the invincibility factor from this team that we've seen in years past is no longer there because, for the most part, Kansas City opponents are no longer intimidated by this team. Like I've said in the past, okay, and it's starting to catch up to the Chiefs from the standpoint that they rely so much on Patrick Mahomes, they rely so much on Travis Kelsey, and they rely so much on Chris Jones. And after that, you've basically got 50 other guys on this team as they're relying on their system so much and the star players to carry them. But the bottom line is they need more impact players on this team. You look at the Chiefs' defense right now. Okay, George Karlaftis is leading this team with 5 sacks through 12 games. Your leading interceptor has two. Okay, Travis Kelsey is the leading, receiver or pass catcher that is from Patrick Mahomes. But nonetheless, the second closest receiver is Rashee Rice, and guess what? He missed 6 games. So there is truly a lack of impact players that are coming into that building for this organization. And at the end of the day, in the fourth quarter, when the games are on the line, this is when you need those impact players to step up. And guess what? Kansas City really does not have a lot of them outside of their big three future Hall of Famers right there. So the bottom line is this: you look at it where KC lacks the impact players around their star guys. Okay. And like I've also said in the past, the cupcake ride for the Chiefs in the AFC West is over. And what I mean by that is, I said this before, when you got Sean Payton to come in and take over with the Denver Broncos, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, and even though that the success is not there, you got to give Pete Carroll the benefit of the doubt with the Raiders. I'm talking about 3 championship head coaches. But when it's all said and done, the dynamic has changed in the AFC West. in the coaching room, and of course, it's a trickle down effect within those respective organizations. We see the improvement with the Denver Broncos. They were 1-1 last year against the Chiefs, albeit last game of the season, the Chiefs rested all of their guys, but they came very close to knocking off the Chiefs in Arrowhead last year. Matter of fact, it came down to a blocked field goal as time expired, and of course, Denver was able to get over the hump at home earlier this season against the Chiefs. And of course, they're going to look to go for the season sweep and really solidify their chances to go out there and win the AFC West. We're talking about a Broncos team right now that is 10-2, and of course the Chiefs are 6-6. So when it's all said and done, basically the wheels need to fall off for Denver, and Kansas City needs to get hot in order for them to win this division once more. And of course, it's very slim that we will see that happen. But nonetheless, okay, I've said it before, and I'll say it again as well. Whereas, we've seen Patrick Mahomes cool, calm, and collected in that pocket. And I'm not saying this to, take away from him. Teams are heating him up, okay? And they follow the blueprint that we saw the Philadelphia Eagles use defensively on Mahomes in the Super Bowl last February. Not allow him to get comfortable, create pressure. And of course, Philly was able to create pressure with their front four. A lot of holes in this offensive line right now for the Chiefs. They're banged up, I get it, but nonetheless, teams are bringing that pressure. And if they can create pressure, if Chiefs opponents can create pressure with just their front four, what does that mean? That means that you're dropping your linebackers, back. You're dropping the safeties, and of course, it's making it more difficult for the Chiefs to go out there and execute those big plays. We're seeing it time and time again throughout this season for Kansas City. So you look at the Chiefs situation right now, and if they fail to make the playoffs, I guarantee you there's going to be plenty of calls for this organization to start making some adjustments, which to me are long overdue. As if that's the case, it could be a very interesting offseason in Kansas City. You have to wonder if whether or not we are watching the final games in the illustrious career of tight end Travis Kelsey. Remember, he had to take some time to think about coming back following February Super Bowl loss. And clearly, when players at his age start to think about that, got a lot of things going on in his personal life, not negative, of course, but nonetheless, you got to wonder if the focus is fully there. And I truly do think that this is it for Kelsey. I would truly be surprised if we see him suiting up for Kansas City in 2026. And he's not going to be an easy guy to replace because, again, we are talking about a Hall of Famer. You also have to wonder how much longer does Andy Reid want to coach? I think Andy Reid still wants to coach because he's got the bug in him to do it. And on top of that, me personally, in my opinion, I think he wants to go out there and make a run at becoming the NFL's all-time wins leader as a head coach. Still got some work ahead of him, but nonetheless, I think Andy Reid is going to hang around, in my opinion, as long as the Chiefs will have him. But nonetheless, we've seen the Chiefs draft guys for this system, but you know what? At some point, you can go to the well once too often, and I think the Chiefs have gotten to that point. They've got to find a way to find more impact players on both sides of the ball. They have to work on their offensive line. They have to find more impact ball carriers. They have to find more impact defenders. And unless they're able to do that, it's kind of a toss up, if you will, when you're just relying on winning those close games, because it has really been a struggle this year. And honestly, it was a struggle last year at times for Kansas City. Nonetheless, the ability of Patrick Mahomes was able to bail them out in so many situations. And it's unfortunate because Patrick Mahomes, as a quarterback, is a bad man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if anybody thinks differently, they're blind. Okay. But nonetheless, if you see the guy play, you know what he can do. And I think he's been so great that the Chiefs are just saying, we can just put anybody around this guy and things are going to be okay. You can do that so much before it runs out. And I think that magic, if you will, is running out, and they need to start putting more talent around him going forward. So you look at the Chiefs and you ask yourself, what are their chances of making the postseason this year? Well, I'll tell you like this. Sunday night at Arrowhead is a must win. Not going to be easy. It's doable against the Texans. But you look at the Texans, young team under head coach D'Amico Ryans. They've been close to getting over that hump against Kansas City in recent years, but they're trying to figure out a way to get over that hump. Kind of like what we saw with Denver getting over that hump with Kansas City. Kind of like what we saw with the Chargers finally being able to get over Kansas City. Houston's come close, but they have not been able to do it. They have the defense to keep them in the game, but it's going to come down to the execution of plays, of course, by their young quarterback, C.J. Stroud. But nonetheless, if Kansas City fails to win that game Sunday night, you can stick a fork in them because they would then be 6-7. You would have another team in the Texans who they would have lost the tiebreaker to for the wild card. And at the end of the day, it's getting late real quick for Kansas City. So nonetheless, this is must-win territory for them. They've got to try to find a way, in my opinion, to win at least 4 out of the last 5 if they want to have a realistic chance to go out there and get to the postseason. They're 6-6. If they are 9-8 at the end of the season, I don't think it happens. Clearly, if it's 8-9, heck no. They've got to be at least 10-7 or better. So nonetheless, they've got to hunker down. But again, unlike it was 2 years ago when we saw the Chiefs seesaw in the regular season and they were able to turn it on in the postseason, the bottom line is their division has gotten better. Okay, so like I said, they can't just turn it on and try to go out there and win this division right now. They've got to go out there and turn it on and hope that they get some help in front of them in order to get to the postseason. And like I said, they've got some teams that they're looking up at in the standings that they have lost to. Buffalo more than likely is going to be a wild card because they're going to have a tough time getting or catching the New England Patriots for the top spot in the AFC East. Buffalo has a tiebreaker over Kansas City. We see Jacksonville and Indianapolis currently tied atop the AFC South. And of course, Jacksonville has beaten Kansas City this year. So, of course, if they finish tied in a wild card race, that nod goes to Jacksonville. So the rematches with the Chargers and Broncos, they're not going to be easy, but Kansas City's got to go out there and try to find their way to get those done. So, like I said, they've got to take care of their business against the Raiders and Titans, 2 teams that they're going to be easily favored against, and they've got to find a way to win at least 2 out of the 3 against the Texans, Broncos, and Chargers. It's not easy, but I'm not ready to officially count the Chiefs out. But nonetheless, their backs are against the wall. It's put up or shut up time. And if the Chiefs want to try to go out there and make another run at the Super Bowl and getting there for the 4th consecutive year, they really have their work cut out for them. So here in the month of December is gut check time for the Chiefs, and we're going to see what the defending AFC champs are made of. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, when you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.